Hello, students. Welcome to my Forms of Energy presentation by Mr. Reeves. Again, this is my title page, and my title page is called Forms of Energy. That's what this presentation is going to be about today. Before we get started, a word from Mr. Reeves. Number one, turn on your closed captions. That way you can read what I'm saying as I'm going through the video. Number two, turn on translator. That way your closed captions can be translated. Also, feel free to pause, stop, or rewind the video as needed. Just in case you missed some information or you would like to hear information again, you are always welcome to stop and rewind the video. Last but not least, be sure to complete the guided notes that goes with the video. Thank you. So in today's video lesson, we're going to talk about the definition of energy. We're going to talk about the different types of energy, such as electrical, thermal, sound energy, and a little bit of chemical energy. And we're going to explore the definition of thermal energy a little bit further. Just a reminder, thermal energy is a type of energy. However, it is a little different, and I want to talk on that in the video today. So, before we get started, what is energy? Energy, an introduction to energy. So, the vocabulary word is energy. The definition, we have written it a couple of times already, but here it is again for you to write down. The definition of energy is the ability to cause change or do work. Here is a couple of pictures of energy sources that cause change and do work. We have batteries, which we use in our remotes, we use in our controllers. There's batteries in our phone, and it causes our phone to work. We have wind turbines, which uses the wind to produce electricity. And here's a light bulb, which uses electricity. Here are other examples of work and other examples of things that require energy. We have windmills, which requires the wind to do work and move. We have a bow and arrow, and so you see this is a person hand, so a person requires energy in order to operate a bow and arrow. We need energy to ride a bicycle. That's what we can see here. Clocks uses energy. Some use batteries, some you can plug in for electricity. Cranes use energy, and other construction equipment uses energy. A golf swing and golfers, they use energy in order to play golf. Seesaws and other toys and equipment require energy. And planes, cars, trains, they all require energy. Like I was saying earlier, people require chemical energy. And so food has energy stored within the bonds of molecules. So let's take this food. If we were to take this food and eat it, okay, it would go inside of our stomachs, all right, and then the food will break down and it will release energy in the bonds. And so Mr. Reeves Mr. Reeves loves to eat food before he starts to work. So Mr. Reeves loves to eat breakfast so it can help him work or teach throughout the day. And food is an example of chemical energy. Next, we have electrical energy. Uh, Electrical energy is energy that is caused by the movement of electrons. This form of energy is used to make electricity. And so here is a picture of some electrons. If you were to somehow look inside of this outlet, you would see wires that has moving electrons. And so I like this picture right here because anytime I think of electricity, or electrical energy, I tend to think about an outlet. Of course, we use outlets or electrical energy to charge our laptops, to charge our phones, to plug in our TVs, and other devices. I wonder, what uses do you have for outlets at home? How do you use an outlet or plug? Here are some examples of how you might use electrical energy. So, of course, we have an outlet or plug. We can use them for light bulbs, and light bulbs also produce electrical energy. Toasters uses electrical energy. Nature, so lightning out in nature, when it's lightning out, that produces electrical energy. Your television uses electrical energy, and sometimes batteries are used for electrical energy. Important fact, China uses the most electricity in the world, but the United States, the USA, is the second country that uses the most electricity. And so China is a very large country with lots of people, so they use lots of electricity. United States does not have as much people as China, but close, and so we use the second most amount of electricity in the world. More people, more electricity. Less people, less electricity. Here are some other examples of chemical energy outside of food. And so some other chemical energy is gasoline. Plants uses chemical energy through a process called photosynthesis, and that uses the sun. Batteries have a chemical inside of them, which can be used for chemical energy. Our cells and other cells use chemical energy, and wood and other plants uses a form of chemical energy. The next form of energy is sound energy. And this is energy produced by the vibration of water or air. And so when you talk into a microphone, uh, it is picking up the vibration of the air, which we use to record stuff. Also, when you talk out loud or when you're talking, you're vibrating the air, even though you can't see it, but you are using a form of sound energy. Uh, do you see all the examples of sound energy in this photo? Here is a speaker, which produces sound energy. A guitar can produce sound energy. A drum, dunce, 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 tss. A drum can produce sound energy. And a microphone can be used to produce sound energy. The next type of energy is thermal energy, also called heat energy. I'll say that again. Our next form of energy is called thermal energy, but it's also called heat energy. That is in your notes. It's also called heat energy. And this image is showing sources of thermal energy as a hot stove or a hot cup of tea. And so this picture is showing us thermal energy and how it does work. And as you can see here, it says thermal energy is flowing out of the cup. The thermal energy, it is moving out of the cup. So before we move forward, one more time, thermal energy is also called heat energy. These two names are equal. So about thermal energy or heat transfer is also what it's called. So here's what we call a thermometer. Again, this is called a thermometer or a thermometer, and it is used to measure the amount of heat energy. Again, this is a thermometer, and it's used to measure heat. Warmer objects, the line is higher, more heat energy. When it's colder out, cooler, less heat, less line, it is lower. So lots of heat energy. The marker is very high on the thermometer. Less heat energy, the marker is low on the thermometer because it's cooler or colder. And heat likes to move from hot to cold. And so if you have something that's warm like your hand, and if you touch something that's cold like an ice cube, the heat is going to move from your warm hand to the cold ice cube to make it melt. We're going to talk more about that later. Last but not least, a little bit more about thermal energy and heat transfer. There is three main ways that heat likes to move. Conduction is when heat energy that travels through solids. And so as you can see in this pot, it is this handle is solid, and heat likes to move in solids. We call that conduction. The way heat moves in solids, that's called conduction. Convection is another type of heat energy and heat movement. And this is heat energy that travels through liquids or gases. And so here's a pot of noodles, which you have to put water in. And heat that travels through water is known as convection. And radiation is heat energy that travels in the form of waves, either through a microwave or through the sun. And so here is a picture of a gas canister being used to heat the pot, and the heat energy, the radiation or heat energy, is moving through the air. And so radiation is heat energy that moves in the form of waves in the air, and they are invisible. So we have conduction, heat energy that moves through solids, convection, heat energy that moves through liquids, and radiation, heat energy that moves in the form of waves like microwaves or waves from the sun. And this concludes part 1 of the video. Here is a Kahoot code that you can type in and join game or play to get more practice with what we talked about in the forms of energy today. Again, this is the end of part 1 of the video. Feel free to rewind this video or go to Kahoot to enter this code to get some extra practice with the material we talked about today. Thank you.